Now we are ready to start cutting. Now we are ready to work with our image, and the first thing we want to do is zoom in. So we can press Z on the keyboard, or we can go down to this tool here on the toolbox and we can zoom in. I'm going to draw a box and zoom in on the edge, and now if I want to move around I hold down the space bar and that allows me to move around the image. So how am I going to work with this image? I'm going to press Shift E to get the eraser tool back. Remember, it's quite large from when we were messing around with it before. I'm going to set the size down quite a bit, maybe about there. So imagine we're cutting with the lino tool around this this head, and I'm going to change the angle of it, and I'll probably have it say something like that there. I don't know, guess maybe like that. There, click OK. So now I can cut in. I don't need to be too accurate, and I can leave small gaps to suggest that I've missed bits of lino cutting out when I do it. These small bits here where his eyelashes are and his eyebrows are, I'm going to just leave those when I come back. At this point what I want to do is I want to cut at least one layer, possibly two, of these smaller cuts around here. When I come back later on I can go in with and make my tool much smaller and define that edge there. And you can see I can cut long shapes and I can get around this quite quickly. As I say, the detail on the corners I don't really worry about. Now look at that, I went over the edge of his chin there. It doesn't much matter, but I can go Edit, Undo, or Apple Z on the Mac, Control Z on the PC to get rid of that, which is something you can't do with traditional media, with real lino. Lino and wood cutting are very unforgiving mediums, so once you've cut something and you've done it, you have done it. There's no way back. But on the computer, fortunately, if you've got shaky old hands like me and you make a mistake, it doesn't matter. It means you can always go back and undo the mistake you made, or you could add to the shape, and I'll show you that maybe in a later video, or maybe you could work that out for yourself. Let's just see if we can go around here like this and zoom all the way around. Now I can go to the View menu and I can choose Fit Artboard in Window, or I could just press Apple 0 on the Mac, Control 0 on the PC, and that would fit it all out. So now let's just get the black arrow, V for the shortcut for that, and set the opacity up to 100, and let's see what I've cut there. And you can see already I'm starting to get that kind of lino cut effect. So let's just take the click on it again. So we want to select all of the artwork, so we go over to the layers palette, click on the little area between the circle and the edge there, go back to the transparency palette and set the opacity back down to about 16 or so. Shift E for the eraser, and then we can get cutting. And if we want to zoom in, we can draw a box, we can get the Z tool and we can do that, or we can press on the Mac Apple plus or Control plus on the PC to zoom in, and then use the space bar to allow us to work around the shape and to move the image to make it more accessible to us. And at this point, as I said earlier, do not worry about all the detail, just get that rough shape overall. Imagine you're cutting this out with a tool into lino. We can go back in later on and we can add more cuts, but we want to get a suggestion of these individual cuts being made with a tool into the surface of the lino. We don't need to go all the way out because we can make it a bigger tool later to go all the way around. So at the moment we just want to follow the contour around the whole head. So the next thing to do is to work on that area all the way around. Because I'm doing a quick video, what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to zoom in on this bit here and show you how I would make my tool a bit bigger, or indeed change the angle on the tool. Let's just change that so it's around there like that, and now I've got a fatter tool that I can cut a bigger area there. I can leave some bits showing and suggest that I've gone in and worked in some areas there with a smaller tool. And when it comes to tidying up these edges here, I'm just going to go onto my eraser tool and I'm going to make it much smaller there like that. Click OK. That means I can grab that corner in there, grab that bit in there, and so on. take that down there and get some of those details there. If I want to go in and get those eyelashes now and those bits of hair in there, I can do that. That's a little bit long even for him, even for Reg. Like that. Let's pull that in there, and so on. So I can cut in detail now with a smaller tool, and I can just keep moving it around to get the effect of the detail as I want it. So I would say with all these things, go around the edge first quickly and then go in and tidy things up later on. You want to keep the small tools to 1 or 2 layers out from the edge of the hair, and later on you're going to want to move your tool out and make it much bigger. So let's just double click on that there. Oh, wrong tool, sorry, on the eraser tool. Make it much bigger so that now we can zoom out, Apple minus, Control minus on the PC, and we can make the shape appear as though we've got a much bigger gouge, much bigger tool that we've used to do the edges from. If you want to get a straight edge, hold down Shift, and that allows you to draw a completely straight shape, which sometimes is good to do against all these kind of handmade ones. I think I've made my tool a bit bigger there, a bit too big. So if I wanted to go back in time, I could just go Apple Z a few times to undo it, and I would then decide that my shape should be, of my brush, should be a little bit smaller there, and that's probably a bit better, because we don't want to jump up too much straight away. We want to suggest that we've got a range of tools that we can work with. And remember, don't leave it all white. You want to leave some little slivers in between some of your shapes to suggest that you've missed it, and they'll be part of the final image, and they'll be quite effective for that. So do leave some bits and pieces in between your shapes like that there. Okay. In the next movie, we'll look at what it's like to work on the actual face.